The line went thin and small. My son's voice, 8 years old and trembling, fit inside my ear like a cry folded into paper. "Dad," he said, "Mom's boyfriend is dragging me to the dog kennel. He says he's going to put me in with his Rottweiler to teach me who's alpha." I didn't breathe. I replied, "Don't fight him, I'm 5 minutes away." I closed the phone and made a promise that tasted like iron. This would be his last day as the alpha. We met at a BBQ on a warm evening. He smiled easy and bought me a beer like he'd always been invited. I remember how my son laughed at the stupid jokes. I remember thinking, relief, that someone could be steady around us. That was the tilt of my life then, trust. It unspooled fast. The first small things I let slide. A missed visit, a joke that wasn't a joke. I told myself stories, stress, a rough childhood, bad habits. Then the patterns sharpened. My wife flinched around him when he raised his voice. My son started to flinch. A text I shouldn't have seen lit up my phone at 2 in the morning. A photo, a sneer, a caption that smelled like ownership. The photograph wasn't to me, it was to her, to prove something, to stake a claim. I watched the evidence collect, the messages, the bruises she tried to hide behind sweaters and laughter, the way he kept the house temperature low, the way he leaned into silence at dinner as if silence were a weapon. I did not rage then. I filed things away like a surgeon collecting samples. Control is a stronger muscle than anger. When the betrayal hardened into facts, I stopped being a husband and started being a strategist. I wrote down everything. Dates, times, witnesses. Small items that, when stitched together, would look like a net. I documented bruises with timestamps, saved messages, recorded conversations when he was loose with his threats. I did not tell her at first. Some truths are bombs you must place carefully. I built legal armor. A friend who owed me favors connected me to a lawyer. The consultation was cold and precise. We discussed restraining orders, custody, evidence chains. I warned my wife that escalation would be met with law. She said she couldn't see it. That's what fear does. It makes the obvious invisible. I attacked him where the proud are most vulnerable. His social capital, the veneer of control. I let carefully placed inquiries ripple through the neighborhood, the gym, the group of men who like to feel dominant at the expense of others. People who thought they liked him began to notice the friction in his stories. A neighbor who despised gossip suddenly remembered seeing him shove my son. A coworker who'd admired his straight talk forwarded a message after a late night of remorse. I also tightened the perimeter around my son. Alternate pickups, a friend's couch for sleepovers. The man's access narrowed until the only leverage he had left was menace. The evening came the way the worst scenes do. Mundane as dinner, ordinary as watching a show. My son called, breath thin and fast. He says if I don't go, he'll put me with the dog. My compass snapped. I drove with one thought, get him safe. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest so my engine wouldn't announce me. The kennel smelled like damp wood and bleach. He stood between the rows of cages like a king in a ruin. The Rottweiler's bark was a soundtrack. My son cowering by his side. The man turned when I stepped into the light. Surprise, then a smile that had no warmth left in it. I did not raise my voice. I let the silence do the work. I stepped close enough for him to see the phone in my hand. The screen showed a folder of photographs, a trail of messages, a voicemail he hadn't meant to save. I let him read the files, the neighbor's statement, the time-stamped photos, the message thread where he boasted of breaking the child before he'd ever touched the child. He laughed at first, cocky, because he thought fools move emotionally. I put my palm on my son's shoulder and said, quiet and certain, call him. Tell him you're okay. The kid did. The voice was small but steady. Then I held up another phone and dialed the number I'd promised myself I'd call the moment I saw his teeth. "This is Officer Morales," I said when someone answered. I spoke clearly, kept my tone flat, handed my open phone to the man and let him listen to the recordings of threats he had made. He handed the phone back trembling. His eyes changed the way people's eyes change when they discover the script has flipped. He tried to step forward, to reassert the posture he'd relied on. Shove, threaten, scare. This time, the push met a hand on his chest that was not about to be shoved back. I did not point the shotgun. It was visible, leaned against the fence, the presence of it a punctuation mark. People know what a visible threat can do to a man who trades in intimidation. His bravado dissolved in stages, first to anger, then to pleading, then to silence.